I'm here with Phil Dunkelberger, the CEO of Nok Nok Labs. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Thanks for being with us. So Nok Nok Labs was a key player in the formation of the FIDO Alliance and the standards that they're coming up with now. So can you kind of update us on what they've been doing and what's going to happen soon?
Yes, for the last couple of years, we've been working on a way to easily hook up strong authentication. Think of biometrics like a fingerprint reader. Think of other simple things like a secure PIN. Idea being, can we make your online capability much more secure and at the same time easier to use? And that specification went from being supported by 6 founding members to over 150 industry heavyweights now. And I think the real news is they announced the specification here in December. The new 1.0 implementation specification is the industry's come together to try to solve a big problem, as stolen credentials are key to most of the big data breaches that are going on.
Mm-hmm. And some of the major players have been Google, Samsung, who's come along this year.
Google, Samsung, Microsoft. You've got people like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. You've got the leading credit card companies. So a large number of both relying parties and authentication vendors coming together again to try to solve this problem.
And obviously you guys are tackling some of the mobile attacks, but also security from mobile devices as it pertains to authentication. So what emerging attacks should the industry be concerned about that even go after these different forms of authentication?
Well, I think what you've seen in the past is that as we've hardened certain types of the environment, people go to the least common denominator. And the new one that's come out over the last years is the capability on mobile devices. So more and more what people are doing is, instead of attacking hardened sites, encrypted, those kind of things, they're looking for easy ways in. People's phones, people's simple passwords, password reuse, large targeted databases of mobile users where they might be a new database they've hooked up to give the mobile user more goods and services. All these things become new attack vectors for people to try to take advantage of that. And I think one of the key areas that FIDO is trying to address is, let's stop some of the real basic things. Let's not worry about the exotic malware and some of the other things that might go on. Let's just worry about people stealing a username and password and reusing it.
And how is usability going to play a part in all of this? And how is that important right now during the holiday season even?
Well, as people come online, most of the people, if they're going to come online, want to get their business done and get off very quickly. If you make things more and more difficult to use, longer usernames and passwords, you use them on average, 8-10 times a day in 25 different sites, that complexity and dissonance in your head of remembering these things goes to a much simpler format. If I can take a picture of myself, speaking to a microphone, use a fingerprint reader, those are all easier modalities that we're getting more and more used to. That gives you the ability for ease of use, coupled with the FIDO specification, of very, very strong underlying security. Kind of orthogonal to the way security usually works. And in this holiday season, where there's a lot of man-in-the-middle attacks, phishing attacks, other types of standard way people have been ripping people off on the internet for years, FIDO can play a role this year and next year in moving that away from those opportunities.
And I'm just wondering, just to broaden the conversation, everyone keeps talking about the password dying or needing to die. What about for the people sitting at home? I mean, clearly, especially during the holiday season, not on their mobile devices, but using that password. Is it going to be realistic for them to use a password and something else? Is multi-factor going to be the way there?
I think that people are moving toward that. A lot of the breaches have shown us that what people try to do is raise the bar, make it more difficult, so it's not just a username and password, but adding something like something knowing something you have, or an out-of-band communication like SMS. I think a lot of those things have been tried, and they're going to continue to be tried, but ultimately what you're going to want to do is, over a step function period of time, is move away from usernames and passwords to something that's local on the device. Maybe a fingerprint reader, maybe a voice token, maybe something that's just easier to use but gives you better underlying security.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being with us. I want to tell you guys to stay tuned because we have much more in store for you. You've just heard from Phil Dunkelberger, CEO of Nok Nok Labs. Tune back in at scmagazine.com.